Hi, I'm David, and I'm here to talk to you about cryptocurrency price analysis for Thursday, July 11th, 2019. Today we'll be talking about Bitcoin, that little bit of a dip we just saw, and I'll lay out two possible scenarios, one in which we're able to hold these levels and start climbing back up, and another in which we actually see some more downside action. We'll explore both possibilities and what they might look like if they play out, and after that, we'll take a little bit of a look at the altcoin market. Saw a bit of a rise against Bitcoin, but most of the altcoins weren't able to hold it. So we'll see where they're at and if there's any sign of that altcoin rally in the near future. So without further ado, don't forget to like and subscribe below. Let's get right into it. Here we have Bitcoin on the hourly. Last time we talked we were right around here, and honestly we spent a lot of the week going more in the sideways channel than I thought we would, but then we invariably got pushed up to test towards the recent highs, but we got stopped out. As I'm sure a lot of you know, we had a bit of a dip today. And we held above about 11.5 at the 50% Fibonacci retracement level. And that brought us back. We then kind of bounced back up and we got back into this channel, and we're currently just under 12. We're hovering kind of just below 12, about 11.96. So I want to talk about basically these two channels here. I believe this was a channel we were in before that then we kind of dropped down to a lower channel just below it, and we've been in there ever since. And the bull scenario I'm going to lay out will be that we kind of hold this channel for a while, and the bear scenario is we're going to break down below it and probably below 11.5. And there's a good chance by the time you see this video, as I often say, kind of one of these will be a little bit more apparent that it's happening. So bull scenario, we continue to rise in this channel. We could have some resistance again at 12.4. We have multiple times now. It could cause a little bit of a wedge to form, but this is the bull scenario, so let's assume we break up out of there. Then we continue on. It might not go too quick. The dips have been faster than the rises generally, so we could see kind of a little bit of a climb up, but there's not a lot of resistance in between until we test on 0.618 at 13.5, the next Fibonacci level, and we might bounce off of that once or twice before we get through, but with this ascending channel, if we can stay in it, we pretty much have to get through eventually. And then we might actually find ourselves in this higher channel again. Maybe not for too long, but we could kind of bounce in here before we might not ride it all the way up to drag it out, but we might stay in here for a little while before we're able to test up to the next Fibonacci level at about, it's the 0.78 level at about 16.3. So that's basically the bull scenario. Will be we hold this channel, we test up, possibly get into this higher channel if we can break through at about 13.5 fairly soon, and carry on to kind of get to new higher highs, or recent higher highs, until we actually get towards 16.3. So then, what about the bear scenario? A little bit simpler. We break down here, and we could retest down to 11.5 without it being a big deal if we did it pretty quickly. But we break down here. We probably lose 11.5 as well, and then we're looking down towards 11. That's if we have a solid break, and if we get some resistance trying to get back into this channel, then we're probably going back into a sideways pattern is probably the next most likely thing. We could actually test all the way back down to about 9.5, and this would still be a bullish scenario. So for that, as we have before, let's look at the daily chart and just look at how that isn't really even a big deal. I don't think we're necessarily going to, but even if we do, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Okay, now we're looking at Bitcoin on the daily. You can see the same basic pattern here. And I just wanted to kind of point out, to elaborate on my bear scenario, that again, if we lost this channel, we could break down to 11.5. We could lose that, break down to 11, and it would still be basically in this sideways channel and still very bullish. And even if we broke all the way down here to 9.5, which I know some people are saying is very possible, I think is very possible. I don't think it's that likely, but if we do, that's still bullish. That's still an overall bullish pattern. We're still reaching higher, basically higher lows. And so I wouldn't worry too much about it. For me personally, I'm going to focus on watching to see if we're going to break down to 11.5 first and 11 before I'm even going to worry about it. But just to be clear, we could drop quite a bit, and this would still be a bull market in my opinion. So that's about it for Bitcoin. Let's just touch on basically how altcoins are doing, Bitcoin dominance really quick. See how that's going. Here we have Ethereum, looking at it on the hourly time frame, and this is actually Ethereum against Bitcoin, not against the US dollar, because I just wanted to show that this is indicative of a lot of alts today. We actually did see a little bit of a rally during the drop, even though everyone dropped. Some coins did not drop as far by percentage, and some had a bigger bounce after the drop. So we did see a nice little bump from a lot of alts, but sure enough, a lot of them lost it. after the kind of the bounce. So that's kind of my point, is that even though we saw like an attempt, we're not really seeing. Now this is a broader view of the market, obviously, and this is actually against the US dollar, but I just wanted to show some of the patterns that played out today. Up here's Bitcoin in the top left, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin. They all dipped with Bitcoin, and they all bounced. Some of them bounced harder. There were some nice like kind of gains from some of these after the drop, but it wasn't enough. And for the most part, most of these coins aren't pulling away from the general pattern that Bitcoin's forming. So even looking at dominance today, again, the pattern hasn't really changed. We did lose like maybe 0.5% or so today. We got a little bit above 65%, and now we're at about 64.9. But this could be the beginning of the shift, but it's way too early to call it for that. We'll keep watching. Next week we'll talk about it again probably. But as of right now, sorry, I can't actually call this an altcoin rally yet. I believe we'll get there, but unless like the more extreme versions of my bear, if my bear scenario were to play out, there's a chance that could give altcoins the chance they need to get a leg up. But barring that, and we're not seeing that in the market right now, barring that, no, this isn't the altcoin rally yet. But don't worry, it's coming. And that ought to do it for me yet again. As I do always say, this is not investment advice. These are just my personal opinions. Go do your own research, make your own decisions. Until next week, don't forget that like and subscribe. Good luck with those trades.